So it appears as though Karma has Kevin Tracker's location as she is staying at work past 40 hours since his life just deteriorated, since he got sued by his bank for being vigorously in the red. I swear each time we feel such Kevin's reality could never deteriorate. Karma figures out how to exacerbate it. And presently he is hauling and faulting Wendy for his ruin and the public authority, and the bank pursuing him for his obligation. Did Wendy truly make the bank sue Kevin and embarrass him? Things have been going downhill for Kevin since Wendy lost her syndicated program and quit paying him provision. He went belly up after Wendy quit paying him divorce settlement, which simply shows the amount he was subject to her and that well-deserved breezy money. And presently his funds are in such a major wreck that he is currently getting sued left. And at the present time you all might believe that his inconveniences began when Wendy quit paying him. Yet in the event that we're being straightforward, his inconveniences truly began when he got Sharina pregnant subsequent to vowing to Wendy that he won't have a child on her. He and Sharina have been together for over 10 years. By then, and he felt like he as of now not required Wendy. And when he was in ready to get support installments from Wendy, he felt like he had gotten the sack. He and his boothang Sharina resided off his divorce settlement checks for a really long time. Well, to be reasonable for him, he attempted to put resources into 2 or 3 organizations for Sharina, yet they generally bombed. Inevitably, the two of them chose to surrender and reside off the provision installments. However, at that point, like Wendy said, I'm an exceptionally plotative individual. You realize I will plot on you, believe it or not. And that is the reason I'm going into season 11. And he's changing spoils. What Kevin didn't understand was that Wendy had her legal counselors at a statement in the divorce settlement understanding expressing if under any condition offended parties' agreement, playing it being blustery with talk WVBE isn't restored or potentially is generally suspended, dropped, or ended, and offended party has no other network show being broadcasted, and paying her a comparable compensation. Litigant, also known as Kevin, comprehends and concurs that all severance installments will be likely to one or the other end or change. When Kevin figured out that he had been played, he lashed out and acted all qualified for the cash. He said, as the spouse for 20 or more years, and the maker of the Wendy Williams show, I was qualified for my half of all that we had, very much like some other couple. Separating from I went to the table sincerely, and we arrived at my thought process was a neighborly separation. As a matter of fact, it was one of the quickest big name separates ever. I had an inclination that Wendy's Wells Fargo consultant was planning something sinister, yet I was exhorted by my lawyers that all was well yet, regardless of whether Wendy some way or another needed to keep paying Kevin. It was basically impossible that she could do that since her cash was frozen in Wells Fargo. She's actually battling to get it back. Kevin immediately understood that he would not have been getting cash by acting all entitled and furious. So he chose to switch the methodology. He did a meeting where he at last conceded to being poor, saying, I have fallen behind on a large portion of my bills. I right now live locally that expects installments to the mortgage holder's affiliation, and I'm behind on that bill on the off chance that the property holder's affiliation expenses are not paid. Dispossession will before long follow. My vehicle protection hasn't been paid because of not getting month-to-month severance installments. He proceeded with I'm behind on MasterCard installments. Since I have no cash since the severance installments were suspended, my life has been enormously impacted since the offended party quit going with installments. Under our repayment arrangement, the way that I can't support my life and cover my bills altogether is incredibly earnest to me. I can't take care of my bills and support my everyday residing. He even attempted to drag Wendy to court to compel her to keep on paying him, yet the appointed authority tossed the case out of the court. And Kevin was starting over from the beginning. Things deteriorated on the grounds that word on the roads is that Sharina unloaded him after he went belly up, on the grounds that she isn't about that broke way of life and trust. Getting sued by the bank isn't the possibly stress since. In such a case that Sharina truly left, I don't figure anybody wouldn't believe assuming she prosecutes him for kid support. So Kevin just got sued by his bank for not repaying his charge card obligation, and they are on a mission to gather their cash down to the last remaining penny, as per the court reports respondent keeps up with, or potentially kept up with specific investment funds at UBS Monetary Administrations, which is a subsidiary of UBS Bank. Regarding the prior respondent applied for a UBS Visa signature charge card, gave by the UBS Bank, and concurred in addition to other things that any UBS Visa signature MasterCard gave to him would be represented by the details of a different Visa card part arrangement. It proceeds to say UBS Bank has progressed specific credit to respondent under the record. Because of those credit propels under the record, there is an extraordinary funds owed in how much more than $20,000 as of WAC 28, 2023, or more premium lawyer charges. And different costs, the record balance revenue, late charges, and different costs keep on accumulating. Respondent has neglected to make the base regularly scheduled installments by the installment due date as expected by the card part arrangement. Essentially, he didn't put in his time, the premium, or the duty, and a ton of other stuff. Really, it's wild to such an extent that this van has such countless open doors over the course of the year to fabricate something with the associations. And the cash that he got due to Wendy, and all he did was purchase costly vehicles, rings, and houses for his fancy woman. And presently he is practically on the road, like in a real sense at any rate it go on via letters dated January 23, 2023. And WAC 1st 2023 UBS Bank prompted respondent in addition to other things that he had defaulted under the conditions of the understanding, and that the remarkable funds owed under the record was sped up, wherefore UBS Bank requests judgment against respondent for harms in a sum not set in stone at preliminary, yet at least that $20,000 pre-judgment and post-judgment premium expense of suit, including lawyer charges and such other and further alleviation. As the court considers just and fair, Kevin is in a tough situation. His charge card obligation comes to a little north of $20,000, yet he will wind up paying far more than that. I mean, the bank is asking the course for revenue on the cash that he's owing, as well as having him pay their lawyer charges, thus numerous different harms. So like I said, Kevin is in a wreck. Unfortunately, he has recorded his Florida home, where he and Sharina reside, available to be purchased. He is requesting $1.3 million for the property, and keeping in mind that that is large chunk of change, we want to recollect that Kevin has different obligations that he wants to pay to. He owes cash to many individuals, as well as the clinic charges that he discussed. So while the $1.3 million will go far, I don't believe it will be throughout the entire that before he goes belly up once more, or necessities to get a new line of work, particularly assuming Sharina comes after him for kid support. You all need to realize the wild part about this is that Kevin actually faults Wendy for his misfortunes. As per insiders, Kevin accepts that this is all Wendy's shortcoming, and that things could never have gotten so terrible for him, assuming she simply kept on paying the divorce settlement. As concurred an insider, Uncover realized that Kevin accepts that Wendy quit paying the support in a spirit of meanness, since she needed to see him endure, since she was as yet pungent because of the separation and him having a kid out of their marriage. The source added that he is still really pissed at Wendy and can hardly imagine how she was sent by and watch him auction his resources, as opposed to aiding him. Another insider guaranteed that he has supposedly been exploding Wendy's telephone, since he actually can't completely accept that she's not effectively assist, not in any event, presenting with taking care of his charge card obligation, and believe individuals have a ton to say regarding his momentum circumstance, and conduct. One individual said Kevin needs to sell his resources, take care of his bills, lease a condo, get on the transport to some new employee screenings. It's insane that after such a long time, this man doesn't have one more feasible kind of revenue. particularly after how he treated Wendy, the inner self, the qualification, the selfishness, the boldness you always lose when you play filthy shaking my head. And it will keep on blowing me away that this man betrayed his better half, had a child, and had the outright daringness to request support. And presently crying marvelous, this is dreadful, yet I need to understand what you all think. Do you accept that Wendy truly put Kevin in a position to fizzle? Or is he confronting the results of his own decisions? Let me in on your opinion on this. And in the event that you thought this whole circumstance was untidy, look at this next video. Unfamiliar.